the children of the lie are changing truth to lies and lies to truth in a Judeo-Christian country. And it's almost, even though it's not yet, like Christianity is dead in America. I've noticed that Christianity has almost merged with secularism, which is of Satan. But they've almost merged the two as one, and Satan is really having an impact on America today, to the point that the politicians and others can just lie to you. You're looking at what's happening, but they can tell you what you're looking at is not real, and you'll believe it. They were showing the urgency at the borders where Joe Biden and these people are bringing in illegals are coming in from everywhere. China, all over. And you're looking at it, and they are saying, oh, it's not really that, or it's not a state of emergency, or it's President Trump's fault. Another thing that's amazing to me is these fake Republicans representatives. They are pretending that they are doing something about it. And if you really, really pay attention, nothing is changing. The Democrats are doing everything they want to do. And the Republicans are pretending to be against it when they're really not. They're not against it. They went down to the borders yesterday, I believe, and held a little fake press conference pretending to be against what's happening at the borders. And you can see it was all show, no action. It was all lies. These Republicans need to be voted out and bring in a new set of Republicans that's going to be doers and not just fakers pretending to be doing. As though you don't see that nothing is changing. Everything's been torn down. They need to go. They hated Trump because Trump was serious. He was exposing what was happening. He was making America great again. And everything the president tried to do, they were against it. They were against it. And now they too aligned, pretending that they were for it. In America, you are not allowed to be honest. Remember when Black Lives Matter and others committed a terrorist attack, insurrection upon America, burning down buildings, looting stores. In some cases, people got killed. And if you spoke the truth about it, you might lose your job, your livelihood, if you told the truth about Black Lives Matter. But when that incident happened in D.C., at the Capitol there, they were all over that because that was about white people, white supremacy. You shouldn't be losing your job, or if you're a police officer, you out there putting your life at risk with crazy people, and if you do your job, you're fired. But it's not so far gone that we can't turn it around. We see what's going on. Let's vote these people out. The Federalist is reporting that alarming number of people fired for simply not supporting Black Lives Matter. So in America today, if you don't support a far-left, evil, radical organization worse than the KKK, make the KKK look like angels. Black Lives Matter, founded by a bunch of fat, black, radical lesbians who hate God, who hate the country, who hate the nuclear family, unborn children, who go out and burn down America. What do we want? Dead cops. When do we want them now? And people go kill cops. If you don't support them in America today, you get fired. You lose your job. And everybody sit back, oh, I'm just so scared. I'm just so scared. Mind blowing. white people licking the boots of Black Lives Matter. Christians bowing down to them and washing their feet, washing the feet of the children of Satan. In America, according to the Blaze, schools around the country adopts gender-neutral terms. So if you don't support Black Lives Matter, you get fired. In the schools, they are teaching gender-neutral terms, which mean nothing, but it's been taught. And what do the parents do? They can't wait to send their children back to the public schools. The Daily Mail is reported Sharon Osbourne not sure if she will be wanted back on the talk. She's not sure. She's white. She's not sure if she'll be wanted back with the two black women, however many there, because she disagreed about her friend being a so-called racist. The blacks pretend they want to have a real discussion about racism, but they're lying. They want a one-sided discussion. They want white people to say they're racist. And if you don't do it their way, it ain't going to happen. And whites bow down lit boots in their own country. And you listen to the children of the lie who make you deny common sense. You know that Piers Morgan and others are not so-called racist. Why would you let them convince you that you can't speak up and disagree about this phony idea of racism or anything, really? What does it profit a man that he should lose his soul and gain the world? They're using racism for everything. After a while, they're going to visit the white people's house or their company and see a black toilet in the bathroom. A white toilet in the bathroom. Where's the black toilet? You have black people working here too. They need a black toilet. That's racist. And the white people are going to change the toilet from white to black. What is it? It sounds silly, right? But look how silly everything else is. Sharon Osbourne defended her friend, Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan disagreed with that wicked Meghan Markle, whatever her name is. And they went after him. It's amazing. I never thought it could get this way in a big old country like America, right? When I was growing up, a Judeo-Christian country. Now Joe Biden is telling you that if you obey them, you can celebrate a little bit of 4th of July, but if you don't, you might not be able to celebrate it. I heard a report yesterday, and I don't have the numbers, it's on me, and they were saying that if they open up the cafes in California and other places, and you can go in the cafe and eat now, most of the people said they would not go in. Some said they will, but most of the people said they won't. They're trained like an elephant tied to a tree. Once you tie an elephant to the tree and he tries to get away, and every time you walk away, the chain bring him back to the tree, eventually you can take the chain off the elephant and away from the tree, and the elephant, he's given up. He still thinks he's tied to the tree. That's how most people are today. The Daily Mail is reporting that Georgetown Law in Washington, D.C. has fired a professor after saying black students are... I'll let you hear this for yourself. I don't know what that is. Here we go.
To say this, I end up having this, angst every semester that a lot of my lower ones are blacks.
Ex-Georgetown law professor Sandra Seller's conversation with Professor David Batson was recorded on Zoom. We've learned the video was made available to their students. It's been viewed more than 600,000 times on Twitter.
It's some really good ones, but there are also usually some that are just plain at the bottom. It drives me crazy.
It was almost a knowing type of silence, as if he was co-signing.
Eric Williams is a D.C. civil rights attorney and Georgetown alumnus. He encouraged alumni to pull their financial support of the school if Sellers remained on staff.
What's especially troubling about the professor's statements about Black students scoring at the bottom is that we don't know if that's true or not.
Williams says one must put this latest incident in context. Georgetown University was built on land owned by the Jesuit priests of Maryland. In 1838,
well, let's not look into it.
72 slaves to pay off the school.
This latest incident really cast a dark pale on the university's efforts to show some type of institutional equity.
Amazing. Beta male. The professor that said that about the blacks are playing at the bottom, it's true, and we all know it. We already know it without the professor having to say it. But they spoke the truth, and the one that spoke the truth, they want to get rid of her, and the one that listened to the truth and didn't try to defend it, saying that it wasn't true, they want to get rid of him. We all know that blacks are at the bottom. Why do you think the blacks are fighting to change, to get rid of the smart people so it won't be apparent that they're at the bottom? Why do you think blacks are fighting for affirmative action? They can't do it on themselves for themselves. They don't know. They're not smart enough. They want to call mathematics racist, white supremacists, right? Because they can't do math. We all know blacks cannot do math. They want reparations because they are not capable of earning it for themselves. They want to let the blacks out of prisons and jails because the blacks are not self-controlled. Why else are they fighting? They want to lower the SAT scores or test because the blacks are not capable of passing the test. Why would you pretend that that's not real? Why would you try to fire someone because they told the truth about it? It's so amazing to me that on one hand, blacks are fighting to get into these schools, to get jobs, to do all this without earning it. And they want you to lower the standards so that it doesn't show that they don't know what they're doing. And they want to get in and get a degree that says doctor, lawyer, professor, whatever, right? And you know they didn't earn it. They're fighting against everything that's good, where you have to earn your way and be independent and do your thing. But if you say it out loud and you're white, they want to get rid of you for saying the obvious, speaking the obvious. Fired a professor after saying black students are playing at the bottom of her class almost every semester. It's like that at UCLA. It's like that everywhere. And we all know it. They know it. Everybody knows it. The blacks know it. That's why they fight for less, because they can't earn it. They're not like real doctors. They're not real lawyers. They're not real professors. They are giving these things free without having to earn it. You had to lower the standards so the blacks can get a piece of paper and pretend that they were important. I'm sick of black people complaining about slavery, using that as an excuse. Using that as an excuse not to succeed in life. It's crazy. I understand that woman's frustration. And why should the man disagree with her? He knows it's true. We all know it's true. The blacks know it's true. That's why they don't want to be reminded. James said, the hate report guy, she was expressing love and care as best as she could. She was showing love to the blacks. She said, I'm frustrated seeing this. If you love black people, you got to tell the truth. And if they fire you for telling the truth, there are other ways to get your job back. When they see you're not going to put up with the crap, they'll stop. Y'all need to love black people enough to tell them the truth, folks. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.
Welcome back. Now, this exclusive in just a moment. Former President Donald Trump will respond to President Biden's agenda, the crisis at the border, and the attacks on the Trump presidency, as the Washington Post today is forced to correct quotes of President Trump that he never made. And today, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said that the United States is facing more migrants at the border than it has in the last 20 years. But he stopped short of calling it a crisis. Joining me right now with reaction to that and a lot more is the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thank you so much for being with me tonight.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you.
We have so much to get to with you. President Biden's first order of business on January 20th and 21st was to overturn your policies at the border, immediately stop construction of the wall, triggering an onslaught of new illegal immigration. Your reaction: do you believe this would not have happened had he not overturned your policies?
Well, my policies were working better than they've ever seen on the southern border. The wall is almost complete. We just had to fix little sections, complete little sections that had to be together. We needed them in order to get the trucks back and forth from side to side, but they've chosen to stop right in the middle. They could have it finished in a month, and it would be just magnificent. It already is magnificent what it's done in the areas where it's totally completed, but just small sections are remaining, and they should finish it. But they're destroying our country. People are coming in by the hundreds of thousands. Young children are coming in, and they leave their homes, and they come up because they think it's going to be so wonderful. And frankly, our country can't handle it. It is a crisis like we've rarely had, and certainly we've never had on the border. But it's going to get much worse. I mean, what you're seeing now is very bad, record numbers, but it's going to get much, much worse. With a little bit of time, you'll see those numbers expand at a level like you've never seen before.
Well, you had 400-plus miles of new wall constructed, Mr. President. Of course, you did a deal with Mexico to share the burden of the illegal immigration. The Remain of Mexico policy was something I know that you and Secretary Pompeo worked on for a long time. Is there any way to reverse that? What would be your advice for the Biden administration to stop the bleeding at the border?
Well, I have great respect for the president of Mexico. He's a great gentleman. We had a very good relationship. They had 28,000 soldiers on our border while we were building the wall. They had 28,000 soldiers not allowing people to come into our country, and they were also stopping them at their northern border by Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala. They were stopping them so they wouldn't come through Mexico, and we had it really down to a good system. And as the wall was finished, they could remove soldiers, but they still had the same 28,000. And we had a great relationship. They understood that I was playing with tariffs if they didn't do that, but we never had to do that to Mexico because the relationship that we developed was very, very good, very close. And we stopped what was coming into Mexico at their northern border. They stopped that, and they stopped it at our southern border. So we had very few people coming in, and we also stopped human trafficking. When I say stopped it, made a tremendous dent like has never been made before, and also drug trafficking. So we did a lot of things, and all of that is now eroded. Today, they're coming in. You take a look. They're coming in from all foreign countries. I see they're coming in now from Yemen. They're coming in from the Middle East. They're coming in from everywhere. They're dropping them off, and they're pouring into our country. It's a disgrace. They're going to destroy our country if they don't do something about it.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about this and the implications. There are sexual assaults. Mexico's president said that the cartels view President Biden as the migrant president. Look, President Trump, you've had a little time now to sit back and think about all of this. I want to get your take on President Biden's agenda, including the border, but also this stimulus package, the idea that we are on the doorstep of much higher taxes. What would be the impact, in your view, on an economy that is just beginning to recover?
Well, it was recovering under my administration twice. We got it to a level that the world has never seen before. We were the envy of the world, and then when we got hit by the, as I call it, the China virus, COVID, it obviously went down along with every other economy, and then we were the first to get it back up. And the stock market when I left was slightly higher than it was even at the prime prior to COVID. So it was incredible what we were able to do. If you look at the jobs numbers, we had the all-time highest number of jobs. We had 160 million people working. We were never close to that. Everything we had, African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, everybody was setting records. Women, it didn't matter. Any group was setting records. And now when I look at what's happening, we were energy independent. Very shortly, we will no longer be energy independent. Gas prices are going up at a far more rapid rate than anybody's seen in a long time. We had gas prices very low, and yet we had more energy jobs than we've ever had. But, when you see gas prices going up, and they'll be going up by $1, $2, $3, if you look at that, and that's, it's bigger than a tax increase. To the consumer, you get $1 increase in gasoline. That's bigger than a tax hike, than a big tax hike. So it's a terrible thing that's happening. And then let's talk about tax hikes. They'll be raising taxes at the highest number that we've ever seen. It'll be the biggest tax increase in the history of our country to pay for everything. And it's a very devastating thing. It's a very sad thing to watch. Fortunately, in my administration and through what I did, frankly, and others, but what I did with the FDA is I forced them to move quickly, and we got the vaccine done in 9 months instead of 5 years. I don't think it would have ever been done, frankly, because according to their rules and regulations, they would have never had it. But we got a vaccine done in 9 months, and fortunately, that's not only going to save our country, it's going to save the world.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up, Mr. President, because we just heard from President Biden last week on Thursday. He gave his first primetime speech, as you know, and he said that when the coronavirus first showed up, and that was at the beginning of 2020 when we did have a 3.5% unemployment rate, as you just noted. But he said that when the coronavirus first arrived, it was met with silence for days and weeks and then months. There was no word of your Warp Speed program. How are you feeling tonight about the fact that you're not getting any credit for any of this by the Biden administration? In fact, even when it comes to the border, Nancy Pelosi this weekend said that the Biden administration inherited the border issues from the Trump administration.
So when you go to the COVID issue, we did a great job. We get very little credit for it. I closed the country far earlier. Dr. Fauci and Birx and all of these people that frankly made nothing but mistakes. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to close it to China. I closed the border to China. I closed the border to Europe. Italy and all these countries that were having tremendous problems long before they wanted me to do it. And if you look at Biden, he didn't want to do it months afterwards. And then ultimately he admitted that he made a mistake in saying that. If I didn't do that, we would have had hundreds of thousands of more lives gone. But the big thing is I've always felt it was the most important is the vaccine. The key was always going to be the vaccine. And when Biden got the vaccine in December, and on January 20th, he made a statement that he doesn't think we have vaccines. Now, I don't know, did he make that statement as a statement, or did he not actually know we had the vaccine? What's going on there? But he got his shot. He got his first shot on December 21st, I believe. So with the vaccines and with the job we've done with COVID, I inherited an empty cupboard. Biden failed very badly with the H1N1, as you know, he had a chance to do something, and they had a tremendous failure, H1N1. It was a disaster. And now he's taking over this. What he's taken over, Warp Speed, we had it, our military, what they've done in terms of delivery has been incredible. incredible.
Yeah.
And we gave up to 1.3 million shots a day before he even took over. So not only did we have the vaccine, and one thing we did, we took a big bet on this. We started manufacturing the vaccine before we really knew it worked. We saved many, many months and millions of lives by doing that, because you wouldn't have the vaccine right now if we didn't take that chance. We knew what we were doing. We knew that we felt strongly it was going to work. And we took a risk, and the risk was spending billions of dollars to develop it before we knew and before we had the approval that it was going to work. It works incredibly well, 95%, maybe even more than that. It works incredibly well. And it's really saving our country, and it's saving, frankly, the world.
So, Mr. President, I know that you received the vaccine. Mrs. Trump also got the vaccine. Would you recommend to our audience that they get the vaccine then?
I would recommend it, and I would recommend it to a lot of people that don't want to get it, and a lot of those people voted for me, frankly. But, you know, again, we have our freedoms, and we have to live by that, and I agree with that also. But it's a great vaccine, it's a safe vaccine, and it's something that works. And we've been working round the clock, and what I got the FDA to do, this would have happened. This would have happened in many, many years from now if I didn't get involved, and if we didn't get involved.
Yeah, tell me more about that. I remember you were talking about, when you were in office, you were talking about the meeting that you held with the major pharmaceutical company heads, and you were garnering all of their support to work together to ensure that a vaccine was on the market as soon as possible. And you said that one issue that you were trying to do was to alleviate any bureaucracies within the FDA. How was it that you were able to encourage a vaccine on the market within 9 months? That was quite extraordinary.
Well, I wouldn't say the FDA loves me, but I pushed them very, very hard, harder than they've ever been pushed. And a number of the people in the FDA admitted that, and at the end they were very happy. But they did not like me. In fact, they wanted to announce it sometime after the election because they just didn't. I think most people knew we pretty much had the vaccine before the election, but they wanted to announce it along with the drug companies, who are not fans of mine, because if you look at favored nations and all of the things I've done to bring down drug prices, nobody's ever done what I've done. But that cost the drug companies a lot of money. In fact, they took tens of millions of dollars of commercials. So they wanted to announce the vaccine after, and I understand that, but somebody had to do it. You will see drug prices. If Biden leaves it alone, you will see drug prices. Favored nations means we get the price of the lowest nation. Whoever pays the lowest, we get that price. Right now, we're the highest in the world. We will be the lowest in the world, meaning tied for the lowest in the world. The drug companies were very unhappy with that. They never thought anybody would do it, but I did it. So with the vaccine, I pushed the FDA at a level that they've never been pushed before, and they got it done in 9 months instead of 5 years. Now, the 5 years,
Well, there he is. I do have a playlist from Red Hawk I can do. I might just do that. 27 videos. "27 videos. Who's old? Trump? Well, yeah, no shit. No shit. You don't say. No. Let's watch Red Hawk's playlist.
one of the first concepts that I want to kind of focus on is the idea of virtual countries, virtual societies. I think as we move more and more into the virtual decade, if you will, there will be a certain group of people, and I think this is already happening. In fact, I know it's happening, that spend the majority of social time, spend the majority of work time in a virtual environment. And what I mean by that is even standard social media like Twitter, Facebook, as examples of the future of virtual societies. So imagine this, if you will. A future where you can put on a headset and the reality that you are seeing is completely indistinguishable from the physical world. It is photorealistic. The interactions you have with another human being don't look all blocky like I do right now, but rather they are photorealistic.
Just gonna sit there? From the limiter,
that interaction, short of physically touching that person, giving them a handshake or high-fiving, is indistinguishable from reality. So it can be deduced that if you can have two people connecting on opposite sides of the world in the same way that they would connect by jumping onto a plane, I think then we can almost look to a virtual country as something that would be accessed throughout the day, throughout the week, for that individual. And that's not to say that we will completely remove all physical form of socialization, but I do think, naturally, if a technology is introduced that makes it more accessible to interact socially, that we as a species of humans will adopt this technology in much the same way that we do adopt the physical world. And hey, I wouldn't mind spending some time in a place like this. Kind of makes me think, like, will these societies be able to function in a way with governments, or function in a way with leadership, or will it all be sort of divided? And I think what we'll see is almost like these so-called virtual countries as video games. We have the example of World of Warcraft. This is a game that thousands and thousands and maybe millions of players play. But when they enter that world, they are governed by a set of rules that the game makers place. I think countries and societies of the future will be decentralized in that they won't actually be governments, but they will be places that you can go that function much like a modern-day government does. But the difference is, to leave a country in the future, all you'll have to do is slip off the headset.
Virtual content stacking to mix two or more mediums within a singular virtual platform.
It can, one, create new forms of content, new games, but two, it can also host content that we've been creating for thousands of years. And what I mean by this is the book example. Right now, I could pull out a book within my virtual pocket, open it up, and read it. I am reading a medium within a medium. Or I could pull up a screen and pull up a YouTube video or a movie, which, to me, makes VR one of the last platforms, in that reality is now recreated. I think we will be able to log into a giant stadium filled with roaring crowds and watch an amazing match of virtual baseball that players are playing on fully haptic treadmills, so expelling physical energy, playing the same game that we've known, but with a virtual reality skin. The same amount of physical effort being expelled, but fully virtual. Now, I don't think this is to say we will completely do away with physical sports, but I do think the main majority of viewership will eventually go to esports.
Which raises the question, how will synthetic biology enhancers be regulated in the future of VR esports?
Now, let us talk about colleges,
which require
VR
hefty
esports.
tuition fees. I think the virtual
metaverse
is a antidote to this. So, college is an experience that many people find extremely worthwhile, not only because of the education aspect, but also the
That kid wants
socialization
to be an
aspect.
esports
It's a time to
champion.
grow, to learn
He
about
wasn't good
yourself
enough.
and others. But I believe
So now he
that
hates
this added benefit of
their
going
accomplishments.
to
He wanted to be an
going
esports
out-of-city
champion.
college can
He
be
wanted to be the leader
translated
of an
to
esports
virtual
Fortnite
in the
team.
way that we previously talked about. The indistinguishable aspect of virtual reality
of the future
offers the
But it
ability
didn't
for
work out for him.
a student that can't afford tuition to have that experience of going to a campus, interacting with other students in a natural way. So my hope is that colleges will notice this, and I think it is almost inevitable that colleges will notice this aspect that virtual reality can provide, which is aspect of college, which is the growth, the learning, the going to a new place. I think virtual is going to aid our ability to explore beyond our pale blue dot. In that the now risk of exploring beyond our solar system isn't losing a human life, but rather losing a drone, losing a remote-controlled vehicle that acts as the human, that we can interact with in much the same way that we interact with a physical object. What I mean by this is sending a robot to the surface of another planet and being able to control that robot as if we are controlling a body. So jumping into like an exoskeleton suit, putting on a headset, and interacting with the environment, grabbing a rock by grabbing the rock and controlling the robot. I don't know if this will happen in
The virtual decade.
but I do think the technology that will grow within 2020 will aid our search beyond the stars. So, real quick, I want to leave you with a few parting words on synthetic reality, notes on reality, if you will. Those that can ponder the social and societal effects of a new medium will help navigate into the new landscape.
Because as far as I'm concerned, the indie developers in the VR scene are doing a bang-up job. Like,
Sorry, how's that?
Way better.
Almost lowering the bar of entry for people to create, whether it
You
be cartoon
risk
style stuff.
people not understanding a plot point that you set up because it's that simple. Oh, I got one that will blow your mind, dude. Hang on a moment.
What?
Yep.
This is so next gen, dude.
Space elevator map.
That's
so
dope.
it's like gives us a sense of place. Beautiful. Yep.
This is incredible. Oh my gosh.
I know.
This is one of the best VR worlds I've seen.
Last week, I asked you if you could enter a simulation that is indistinguishable from reality, granted you a longer life, a connection to a society, but could never be exited. Would you enter? Why or why not? Callum Boyagoda says, quote, I personally would. I would feel guilty for leaving the real world for a selfish paradise. But if that technology was available, society would, hopefully, have already developed well enough for everyone to live peacefully and easily without major issues. For example, climate change, illnesses, etc. Also, living a longer life would allow for even more experiences, and in my opinion, experiences shape who people are, hence making a more defined person, able to know more about themselves and their world around them. End quote. Curious Cryptogenic said, quote, I would not. Even if this simulation comes with a peak conditioned body, a permanent sharp mind, and ideal life, I would say no. Time takes its toll on the human mind. People who live to very old ages talk about how fast time flies for them. When you're 10, 1 year is 10% of your life. When you're 100, that year is 1% of your life. When this simulation brings you to 1000, the same year is now 0.1% of your life. What if you were to become 10,000 years old in this simulation? How fast would the world fly by when a year means so little? The sheer amount of memories and experiences would be overwhelming. Would you look back on particular memories of your extended life, or would it be a blurry mess of similar moments you've experienced 1,000 times? If you experience a happy moment that much, would it still make you happy? Would you feel anything at all after so long? I believe any person that chooses to enter this simulation would eventually choose to stop extending their life. It wouldn't be happy or sad when they choose to do so. It would just be an end to something that they know should have ended long ago. End quote. Thank you for your answers. There's no question this week, as this is the last episode. I want to thank you for watching this series and exploring technology and our relationship to it. I'll see you in later videos on the Disrupt channel. Much peace.
Fuck that.
A few of you asked me for my thoughts on Bruce Jenner. Here's what I think about it. I don't care. If a man wants to get sex change, if that makes him happy, good for him. I will say this though. You people that get sex changes, I seen a few of you on Twitter the other day. I don't know if these were people that got, these were supporters or whatever. And they were talking about how it's wrong that people expect transgender people to tell, you know, if you date, like let's say you used to be a man, you're a woman, used to be a man, and you start dating somebody and you have sex with them, you never tell them that you used to be a man, you start fucking them and dating them. That's wrong to me. That's not right. You got to tell people some shit like that. That's some information people want to know. You can't just spring that on a motherfucker 2 months later. You know, imagine this. Imagine this. Let me know what you would do in the comment section below. You're a man.
Right now,
you've been dating a woman for the past 2 months. She calls you up. Hey, I need to talk to you. You meet at a restaurant or whatever. She sits you down. She says, probably a restaurant, probably in a public place, probably not the best place to do this at.
Dang.
But then again, it probably is, because maybe one of these crazy motherfuckers might lose his mind and kill you. So, I mean, pick your poison. You're either going to have a guy lose his fucking mind in public and embarrass you, or he's going to kill you in the privacy of your own home. You got to make your choice here, because there are some people that will do that shit. This person you've been fucking for like 2 months, they sit you down, they reveal to you, I used to be a man. They're a woman, used to be a man. How would you feel about that? I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be pissed the fuck off. So you got to tell people. That's all I say. If you're going to have a sex change, go ahead, have at it. I don't give a shit. Do what you want to do. I don't understand it. It's very confusing to me that a person wants to have a sex change, but whatever. I'm not meant to understand everything in this life. So have at it, enjoy yourself, but tell people. Let people know that you used to be a fucking man or that you used to be a woman. Don't hide that from people. And while I'm on the subject of this shit, what is with the news? I was reading an article the other day. It was about two people. They left a ghost show, one of these paranormal TV shows, and they left the show. They weren't going to be part of the show anymore. They left. And in the middle of the article, they felt the need to tell me that this guy was gay, that he was openly gay. Had zero to do with the article, had zero to do with anything, but for some reason, they felt the need to tell me that he was openly gay. What does it matter, dude? That's another thing that's a little confusing to me. Every time somebody's gay, they got to tell us about it, don't they? They got to say, "Oh, he's a gay man. That man's gay." You believe that? That's a gay man right there. He's openly gay. He likes penises. Oh, she likes licking vaginas. You believe that shit? They don't do that for straight people. Oh, here's George Clooney. By the way, he likes pussy. George Clooney, he's openly straight. This man right here. Oh, there's Brad Pitt. He likes vagina too. Come on over, Brad Pitt. What do you tell us about your sexuality? Tell us about what it's like to be openly straight. They don't do that with straight people, but with gay people, man. Come on, dude. Who you have sex with does not define who you are as a person. All you gay people, like there's so many gay people that's oh yeah, he's gay. That's what you know about him. Yep, he's a gay man. That's what he's famous for. He's famous for being gay. Came out of the closet. Oh my God, what? You know, it's like that football player. That dude was gay. What was the big deal? I mean, who cares? He's gay and he's gonna play football. Oh my God, woo, woo, woo. As if there's never been a gay person play football. There's been a lot of closeted motherfuckers play football. You just didn't know about it. God damn, who gives a shit? I don't understand why that's a big deal. Who they have sex with? What does it matter? What does that bother you? The only thing I want to know is does he fuck children? No, good. That's good. I don't like pedophiles. Does he fuck animals? He does it? Good. You know, I don't want no bestiality bullshit. But other than that, I mean, was he fucking his cousin? No. Okay, good. What's that? He has a boyfriend? I don't give a shit. What does that got to do with me? He has a boyfriend. Good for fucking him. It's 2015. Why do I care about him having a boyfriend? You know, I could understand if you're talking about gay rights or something, but when you're doing an article about a guy leaving a TV show, why do you got to tell me that he's gay? Are you trying to imply that he was kicked off the show before he was gay? Is that what you're trying to imply there? It just boggles my mind. I was reading the article and I'm just like, what? Why do you tell me this? Why did I need to know he was gay? I don't get it. How does this help me better understand the story here? The man likes penis. Good for him. I don't give a shit. Anyway, so that's why I feel about it. Bruce Jenner, have at it. Become a woman. Good luck with it. I don't give a fuck, but at least tell people. Tell people you're fucking used to be a man. I mean, goddamn, you can't spring that on people. You can't keep a secret like that. Imagine you've been married 30 years to a motherfucker. They sprung that on you. I used to be a woman. Or I used to be a man. What? It's a good-ass surgeon, though. If you go 30 years with a motherfucker and not notice, that's a good-ass surgeon. God damn, what the fuck. And here's the thing, man. 20 years, 30 years from now, imagine the technologies, imagine the medical advancement. There are going to be people, you're not going to be able to tell, dude. People are going to get sex changes and you're not going to be able to tell the difference. They're going to have their face reconstructed. They're going to look dead up like a fucking woman or dead up like a fucking man. And you're just not going to be able to tell. It's going to be insane, dude. The future is just wild. Like, you know, it's intriguing. It's fascinating to think about, but at the same time, it's a little scary. When you think about what they can do in the future, they're going to be able to turn people, whatever the fuck they want to turn them into. There's going to be people walking around. They're going to be, these people that want to be furries, these people that dress up like animals. Oh my God, wait and see. They're going to turn somebody into a donkey or some shit. You wait and see. I was reading about head transplant. Apparently they're going to try the head transplant. Remember I did a video on that? They're going to do a head transplant on a guy like next year. Oh my God, head transplant. And pretty soon they'll be transplanting, putting your head on a donkey, putting your head on a lion. You know, they'll take a man's head and put it on a woman's body. That's what they're going to do. Wait and see. Jesus Christ. Which I guess that would make him a woman, wouldn't it? The head would be a man, but the rest of him would be a woman. Just something to think about. Times are changing. We live in a very interesting time. You think we'll see that, though? You think we'll get to all those insane medical advancements, or will we nuke ourselves in about 10 years? We just start blowing each other up, you know? That's probably what'll happen, you know? We won't fucking, you know? I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast the other day. A guy was talking about getting rid of aging, stopping human beings from aging so they can live to be 1,000 or whatever. And that's fascinating, but it's like, really? You know, am I going to see that in my lifetime? Or am I going to see a bomb go boom and blow everybody up? And then there'll be just mass fucking chaos. One of them super volcanoes. Imagine you was sitting outside a super volcano went off. Just fucked everything up. God damn. Jesus Christ. Imagine the Mayans got it wrong. It was 2015, not 2012. They had the 2 upside down. It was a 15. Boom. Fucking world explodes. Anyway. Peace.
Growing up, there wasn't always a strong division between reality and fantasy. I could grab a controller and stare up at a screen and imagine saving the Princess of Hyrule, or look down and imagine speeding through space on a race with my pod racer, or going around and catching Pokemon, trying to collect each and every single one of them. But I never lost sight of the controller in my hands. My favorite books would whisk me away to magical worlds like Narnia. But when I made it to the end of a chapter, I was met with this white space that served as a reminder that I am a spectator of these worlds, not a part of them. I remember reading this book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and feeling so envious of the 4 kids who escaped to a magical world through a closet full of winter coats, turning corners and opening doors, hoping that I would find a portal to where adventure would await. I remember sitting by the front door on my 11th birthday, hoping that I would have an owl deliver a letter from Hogwarts to me, inviting me to this wonderful place, but nothing happened. Because when you're a child, there's this hope for something more. There's this desire that there's a world out there that needs you, a kingdom that's awaiting your return. You'll look for fairies in the garden and be sure to be asleep by midnight on Christmas Eve so that Santa comes, but eventually you grow up. Nothing magical ever happened. There were no fairies in the garden, and Santa was just your parents all along. Not everyone enjoys fiction as much as I do, but imagination is something that we all use often. Every time you want something, whether that's a particular romance, a job, or just a lot of money, you use your imagination to help you envision that. And that's awesome, because by envisioning your goals, you can help find the motivation to achieve
why saying
them.
China virus
You
was
daydream
wrong.
and
She said it
fantasize and
gutted
conjure up
me.
these
It
imaginary
absolutely
worlds in our
gutted me.
heads. For some of us, those
fuck
turn into
up,
entire
you
franchises
dumb
like
bitch.
Star Wars
Do
or
a
Harry
damn-
Potter or the
Shut
Marvel
that-
universe.
Shut up.
For others, it's just imagining
God,
being
shut
on the
up.
Caribbean beach
Yeah, fucking
outside of your
break- You gutted
retirement
me.
home enjoying
Oh.
your 401k plan. But all of a sudden, things
Yeah,
are
fucking
very
break.
different. With the
You
rise
good.
of
You
virtual
fucking
reality,
fine.
we no longer have to spectate these worlds, but we can now immerse ourselves inside of them. With the power of VR, anyone can become a part of these worlds that we create. It's becoming simpler and easier than ever for anyone to create worlds and then step into these places firsthand. Whether it's creating places inside of our minds or from our dreams or from our favorite pieces of media, you no longer have to feel like you're on the outside looking in, but a part of these worlds, peering around inside of them. With time, the technology needed to become a creator is becoming increasingly simple. Anyone with enough time or passion can learn the skills it takes on Unity or Blender to become a creator. Authors, designers, world builders, role players, and artists alike can now use these tools to step into their worlds and become virtual gods. The power of these concepts hit me for the first time when I entered Hyrule in VR chat. From my all-time favorite franchise, The Legend of Zelda. I have so many vivid memories of playing those games as a kid and wanting to know every corner and cranny and secret they had to hold. I love them so dearly, and I would specifically fantasize about falling asleep to one day wake up in Kokiri Forest as Link. The further I explored the cyberverse with my newfound headset, the more I was captivated. These places of fantasy I've always loved have been right here, waiting for me to come and experience them. It hit me like a bolt of lightning. All of those times I craved as a kid to be swept away into a land of magic and adventure, those feelings of raw longing and hope, were now reawakened and more alive than ever before. I can create memories here, and my brain will perceive them as real.
In breaking news, a giant floating cuboid has appeared over City 3, causing civilian panic. A transmission from the craft was sent to government officials earlier today,
into the VR. She's
warning
like,
the following may be disturbing to some viewers.
And I'll create memories. This is real. These people want to escape into virtual reality forever.
A separatist group known as OO has set up a website encouraging citizens to rebel against the squares and share their opinion. By visiting the link below, it seems anyone with an internet connection and a spare 30 minutes can fill out surveys and earn PayPal, iTunes, and Amazon gift cards right from their own home. Reports have surfaced showing an increase in ramen noodle sales with the money earned on Opinion Outpost, which has proved to be the perfect resilience to the Square's ideology. More info at 11 as the story develops here on Metaverse News.
There is a child inside each of us that wishes to exist freely. For those of us whose lives have been changed by our favorite games or favorite books or movies, you can rest assured that those nostalgic dreams are not dead. You exist, and so do these places. Virtually. Now is an incredible time in human history because we are achieving the dreams that we've had since the dawn of humankind. Now is the time when imagination becomes reality.
Hands.
What the fuck?
Controllers, keyboards, mice, joysticks, buttons. Hands. We play games with our hands. We walk, run, jump, fight, talk, eat, sleep, pray, emote. All with our hands. VR has made strides to allow us more control, but we still do so much with our hands. It feels like every new game gets more complex, gets more controls, more buttons to remember, more combinations to remember.
And so a question to think about is, what if you didn't have to remember everything? What if you could just think about what you wanted to do and it happened? Like, would that change how you play games?
Brain scanning is one of those topics that is so sci-fi, most people don't believe it to be real. Things like EEG scans have existed for nearly 100 years and are used in hospitals today, but still, the concept of mapping, understanding, and reading the human mind sounds impossible.
Okay, you really want to go down the rabbit hole?
For a few minutes, why not? I mean, this is...
The last time you were here, we really couldn't discuss it. And then there was, I guess, a press release or something that sort of outlined. If someone ultimately does get a Neuralink installed, what will take place?
Well, for version 1 of the device, it would be take out a chunk of skull, replace, put the Neuralink device in there. You'd put the electrode, you'd insert the electrode threads very carefully into the brain, and then you stitch it up, and you wouldn't even know that somebody has it.
Whoa.
So how do we monitor a brain? How do we read thoughts? Well, it all starts with neurons.
So this is a cool looking picture of a neuron. You guys might remember neurons from your 8th grade biology textbook. Neurons are nerve cells. They are the atomic units of the brain. If you put enough of them together and you organize them in various functional and hierarchical ways, you get a brain. Right? And so they communicate by firing or not firing. They send electrical signals down various pathways of processing, and they're clustered together in various brain regions and seem to provide distinct subsets of functionality, although not always. There are about 100 billion in the brain, and connections between neurons is called a synapse. There are about 1,000 trillion, or 1 quadrillion, synaptic connections in a human brain. And when neurons fire, and this is the important part, they produce every single aspect of conscious and unconscious experience. Every thought you have, every sensation you have, everything you perceive, every feeling you have. They're a consequence of neurons, or bundles of neurons, or patterns of neurons firing together, or not firing. So in some respects, we're actually already inside the matrix. Like what we see and experience and feel, right, is constructed by neurons firing up here, right? And when you have, when you have a thought, neurons fire in a particular way. When you have a different thought, neurons fire in a different way. There is a neurological correlate or origin for every single thing that happens in our brain. And our reality is constructed by these patterns of firings. And so if we could reliably measure them, then maybe we could start doing useful things with them.
Have I told y'all the story of the great bit battle of 2089?
Yes, Grandpa. You've told us that story many times.
Well, great. It was a cold day in December. No ammo left, right on the border between the ones and the zeros. The zeros were pushing forward. Hope was distant, but something deep inside kept us still fighting for freedom. Just when the zeros were about to reach our encampment, a light shone from the sky, and out of the blue dropped a crate full of something. This is where you ask me what was in the crate.
We already know what was in the crate, Grandpa.
Inside was the most incredible assortment of unique items from great franchises like Pixar, Rick and Morty, Marvel, and more. The squadron commander had signed up for the monthly subscription for Loot Crate, which includes a new box theme each month, full of items that can't be found anywhere else. I took that loot. I brought it back to camp, just as the zeros were closing in. Turns out, the zeros are fans of Rick and Morty. Well, we ended up bonding with them over memories of Pickle Rick and the like. I guess zeros and ones have more in common than we think. Anyways, if y'all want to get 15% off your first Loot Crate, you can use code
UNBOXFUN15
for 15% off. Now ain't that a deal? Have I told y'all the story of the great bit battle of 2089?
No, Grandpa. No, you haven't told us that story.
He's right. What happened during the battle?
It was a cold day in December.
So, that's pretty much the whole idea. Measure every single firing or non-firing neuron in our brains to build the pathways and patterns that relate to our thoughts and our feelings, essentially allowing us to read our minds. That sounds easy enough. The real challenge comes in translating this mass of data into something we can actually use in a computer. Startup Norable launched the first ever mind-controlled video game back in 2017, which used deep learning algorithms to find patterns in the brain for simple actions like imagining an object coming towards you.
The cap has sensors on there that record brain activity. They're called electroencephalography sensors. That records your electrical signals coming from your brain. And our software allows us to take that brain activity and interpret what you actually want to do. And then from there, we actually create the actions that you want.
We need to find a way through this door. Look around for clues.
Keeping this brief, a deep learning algorithm is an AI computer that learns from doing. This deep learning signal processing system does exactly what we've been talking about. It finds patterns in the brain.
We need to say, okay, this pattern of electrical impulses means happiness, or it means sadness, or it means I wish I had reloaded a fraction of a second earlier.
The limit of these systems is that they need data. Lots of data. The more scans the AI has, the more accurate patterns it can find. So, feasibly, once brain scanning becomes a common home unit, the data will skyrocket, and these deep learning algorithms will be flooded with new brain patterns to find. Our current examples from companies like Norable will look like nothing in comparison. I mean, could we find pathways for our thoughts? Like the ongoing dialogue in your head? Surely not. Hold that thought. Most devices used by companies like Norable sit on the outside of your head, and these are called non-invasive methods. What Elon is talking about, the device implanted in your skull, is known as an invasive method. Those arise many more of the ethical concerns with what are known as brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. The most common non-invasive BCI is the EEG, or electroencephalogram. This device reads electrical activity. Aim it at the brain, and it can detect the electrical activity of neurons firing. With a precise enough instrument, we're able to read every single electrical impulse passing between our neurons, giving us a way to read the brain. out writing to the brain.
The hole would be small. How big would the hole be?
That's a whole different story, and we're going to have to save that one for another video. There are many different home EEGs, both coming in the future and out now, but one that really interests me is the Next Mind, an EEG that sits on the visual cortex and can read the images projected.
This is the Next Mind device. It's a non-invasive brain sensing wearable for real-time interactions. Everything you see with your eyes or inside your mind when you close your eyes and imagine something is mirrored in the visual cortex.
My name is Jack Gallant. I'm a professor of psychology and neuroscience here at UC Berkeley. So on the left here we have a movie that we showed a subject in the magnet, and on the right we have a brain. And you can see the brain activity is painted here on the side of the brain, but the brain's kind of crunched up in the skull, so it's hard to visualize. So we kind of inflate it, and then we flatten it out, and we can see a flat map of the visual cortex and the rest of the brain as the person watches the movie. The problem here for us is to translate between these movies that occur and this pattern of brain activity that occurs. So on the left here is the movie we actually showed people, and on the right is our reconstruction. When the movie that we showed has a fairly common object like a person, our reconstructions are actually fairly accurate. But when the movie that we showed is something rarer, as you'll see in a second, like this abstract thing, then our reconstructions are coarser. In our paper, we just modeled this very back part of the brain, the early visual system, primary visual cortex. And that part of the brain responds to the little local features in the movie, little edges and colors and pieces of motion and texture. But this part of the brain doesn't know anything about what the objects are in the movie.
In parallel, we combine our new device with advanced machine learning algorithms that translate the data in real time, that interprets the data in real time.
Currently, a Next Mind is only able to reliably make out very basic shapes, and this is likely because the images found by a Next Mind are only slightly more detailed than the ones found by the psychologists at UC Berkeley. Still, the use of deep learning algorithms sets the capability of a device like this only in line with how much you use it. So much like with Norable's device, once it gets released, the amount of data will flood in, and the capabilities will grow very suddenly. As the images found get more and more detailed, eventually it will become just sort of a camera from your eyes. I mean, what would that look like? Like, would it be normal, like a camera? Or would it be distorted, skewed, mishmashed? It wouldn't make sense to other people, only making sense to you. Filled with your own imagination, your own biases. I mean, what if you wore it when you went to sleep? What would it see? I mean, what would happen when you hold that thought?
This goes behind your ears, and so you want your hair to be out of the way.
Okay. So this is my brain right now.
This is your brain right now.
Oh my gosh.
In real time.
This is wild.
It's pretty wild. So we can look at facial expressions. So we can tell if you're blinking, you're winking, looking left and right, furrowing your eyebrows, raising them in surprise, smiling, clenching your teeth because you might be nervous. So all of those things we can detect very, very easily.
Emotive released a pretty impressive EEG all the way back in 2013 that could already detect basic facial gestures just from the readings from your brain. I mean, theoretically, once we have more detailed readings, couldn't we translate your entire face onto a virtual one? Like, imagine seeing someone in VR chat, but their eyes, mouth, nose, everything is perfectly synced to their actual face. You get some CGI level face tracking, but in a video game. I mean, surely if we can detect activity relating to the face, couldn't we do the same for, like, other body parts? Like, what if you got both your legs tracked in VR, you know? I mean, couldn't you do the entire, like, the whole body? Like Matrix style, like you're just there. Hold that thought. Okay. You can likely see where I'm going with all of this. All these ideas are small now, but spark a boatload of imagination for what could be. All these ideas are a lot of fun, both to talk about and to think about, but it's not stuff that's really gonna happen in our lifetime, you know? It mind control, a camera made from your eyes, full body tracking with no tracking. It's crazy. It's fun to talk about, fun to think about for me and you right now in this YouTube video, but it's not something that's gonna happen, especially not in our lifetime, you know? Moore's law is fast, but it's not that fast. Right?
So, what if you could type directly from your brain? It sounds impossible, but it's closer than you may realize. You have many thoughts. You choose to share some of them. Today, we've assembled a team of more than 60 scientists, engineers, and system integrators. They specialize in machine learning methods for decoding speech and language, in optical neuroimaging systems that push the limits of spatial resolution, in the most advanced neural prosthetics in the world. And we're just getting started.
I'm Thomas Reardon. I'm the CEO of Control Labs. I lead a merry band of neuroscientists. Here, what we've done is virtualized a hand, the full continuous motions of the hand, the dynamics of the hand. I can wave it back and forth, obviously. I have each individual finger is active. If I can decode all the actions of the hand, again, I can decode what the hand would otherwise be doing when it's moving around.
An armband outfitted with a number of sensors.
Dr. Rajesh Rao is a neuroengineer and director of the Center for Sensory Motor Neural Engineering at the University of Washington. He is developing safe, non-invasive devices that can connect to the brain to accomplish things like controlling a prosthetic arm or sending commands to a computer.
You can imagine moving their hand, and we use a computer to extract the patterns that correspond to imagined movement of the hand.
You know, and like I was saying earlier, the brain-computer interface stuff is, you know, we're way closer to the Matrix than people realize. Personally, this area I'm spending a lot of time on has been growing out of a bunch of research that occurred a while ago in brain-computer interfaces. You know, and like I was saying earlier, the brain-computer interface stuff is, you know, we're way closer to the Matrix than people realize, right? It's not going to be the Matrix. The Matrix is, you know, a movie, and it misses all the interesting technical subtleties and just how weird that the post-brain-computer interface world is going to be.
So maybe we're not at the Matrix just yet, but we are close. Like, really close. Like, way closer than we thought. And that's kind of scary, to be honest. Elon tries to quell our fears by saying, well, see it coming if AI ever happens to take over.
That it's not going to be like suddenly Neuralink will have this incredible neural lace and start taking over people's brains. Okay.
I mean, nobody brought up controlling the brain, Elon. Why would you...
This is going to sound pretty weird, but achieve a sort of symbiosis with artificial intelligence. So, but this is not a mandatory thing.
Mandatory?
But I think even in a benign AI scenario, we will be left behind.
Listen, I'm way out of my depth here. This whole thing is terrifying. Or it's not. It's either the best thing to ever happen to VR, or it's Facebook's one-way pass into your brain. It's either our only hope to merge with AI, or it's AI's only hope to push us out. It's either a magic device that lets you see dreams, or it's the government's way to monitor you through your own eyes. It's either the cure to so many existing problems, or it's the creation of so many new problems. It's either Sword Art Online, or it's the Matrix. Well, I guess Sword Art Online didn't end that well either, but, you know, now that I think about it, no sci-fi with brain-computer interfaces in it ever works out well. Let's just hope that's a coincidence. There was tons more research done for this video than is in this video, and there's a load more stuff about this topic that I haven't gone into, including a lot of stuff about invasive BCIs. I'm gonna leave links in the description to everything shown in this video, as well as a couple more things if you want to travel your own way down this rabbit hole a little bit more. I think that is it. Okay, Disrupt people, I'm done. Thank you for having me back on your channel again. Hopefully I didn't give you too much of a headache with BCI stuff. If you want more stuff from specifically me, I have a personal channel called Virtual. And other than that, that's everything. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.
Hospital patients now being microchipped with electronic tattoos. And many of these are so thin that you can't even see it. And obviously IBM is coming out with systems that do go under the skin and are so small they can't be seen. Now, they're also coming out with neural net systems that are so small they can't be seen with the naked eye, that can be put into the brain via a vaccine. All of that is being announced. It's all about dominating, breaking your will, training you to accept more and more. Big Sis gives green light for drone that tases suspects from above. Long-distance taser rockets they fire at you, similar to what police have fired out of shotguns. Nerve gas, knockout gas, regular shotgun rounds, poison darts, you name it. Proto-robots, androids, who will work 16, 17, 18 hours a day for almost no food to just overthrow the livable wage of the planet. And if you think the Chinese have brought down the world standard of living for the average person, wait until the robots get online, and that's the socialists and globalist plan, admittedly, is to replace us with robots post-haste and then dictate the terms of our surrender. Now, to make a long story short, the United States is taken over by the Federal Reserve in 1913. They only had a beachhead then. They expand their power, their control, leverage it. Now, these banksters worldwide, they don't want anyone to be armed to be able to resist them. When their mercenaries or their militaries go in, and the UN goes in and slaughters the people and takes their property. I mean, villages, burns them to the ground, and if you resist, they kill you. They're just taking the property everywhere. It is a mass extermination going on. Because remember, the people running this government and the people running the UN have called for total civilian gun bans ad nauseum. The quotes, the statements, the video clips, they're everywhere. And the first time they get a chance when a city's in trouble, they blockade from the hundreds of police departments and fire departments that wanted the Coast Guard wasn't allowed in. That's what you can look for in an emergency, is the feds kicking down your door and demanding sex with your wife if you want out of the city. When I sit back and I think, what is the greatest threat to humanity? I realize it's the open-air genetic engineering of pharmacological crops to produce everything you can imagine. They can have corn, you name it, soybeans, grow live herpes virus, live HIV, grow chemicals. Plants are amazing. And they're already mutating with other plants. They have thousands of pharmacological crops. And the only technology we're given out of the Chinese slave plants, they're now replacing the humans with robots, with the suicide nets, the forced drugging, the forced abortions, or death camps. When I really think about what's happening, they are butchering the genetic code of the planet. They are irrevocably carrying out horrible eugenics programs of soft kill against us. And they're launching surveillance systems through all the computers, all the software, all the dishwashers, washing machines. Light bulbs are now surveilling through data going over power lines, into chips, in the light bulbs, on record. That's who I really am, folks. They're killing us, for God's sakes. What is it going to take to get it through your head? That's right. You just need to join humanity right now. You know it was waiting there the entire time. You know it will fulfill you. Or you can turn yourselves over to a bunch of hunchback globalists who think they're going to play God, who really just like to kill people. They're turning the whole planet over to AI, artificially intelligent, autonomous machines. You're already in a Terminator movie. You're already being assessed right now by this. Well, I am the organic response to it, and I am the human response, and I am my ancestors' response to it, and you are your ancestors' response to it, and we are the bridge to the future of the human destiny to decide our development or stand out and be destroyed. I am not going to stand out and be destroyed. I am not going to say humans are junk. I'm not going to say you're ugly and evil and bad just because you've been programmed that way. What is a spirit? It is the program of evil or good. It is a virus, or it is a protein. It is the wavelength. It is the mindset. And they have hit us with viruses of greed and deceit and lies and pettiness and backstabbing and manipulation. And that will bring us down, folks. They have used incredibly weaponized culture to destroy us.
Hope. I bet you'd hear those words out on the beach. Back then. The golden sand glistening against the bright sunlight. Perhaps there are children making sandcastles. Parents drinking a beer, whatever families do. Here, it's not so different. There's no people, but I can't blame them at the break of dawn. Even so, the beaches grow more empty. The natural beauty of our landscape used to be one of a kind. A sight to hold.
I think I'm gonna lay down and go to bed.
Now you can put on a headset and the animal part of our brain does the rest.
Finish this up in the morning. I'll be back in a few hours. Maybe. It'll let me in the stream. It ain't letting me. It's frozen. It's all frozen. What the fuck? Goodbye, folks.